nice, so nice. I'm so proud to be from the VI, a place of mystery like the African side, yeah. St. Thomas and St. John and St. Dry, nothing can come between us but the waters that divide, yeah. Even though a few square mile, I travel around the world with Virgin Island pride, yeah. A lot of people still going through strife, and still we live a joyful life. That's why the place nice, so nice, so nice. Sweet, sweet St. Thomas nice, so nice, so nice. St. Croix full of pure vibes, so nice, so nice. St. John a real paradise, so nice, so nice. We got so much to lose, yet so much to prove. Virgin Island teachers never raise no fool. Mama sent me school. When it's difficult, we still have push through. No matter what the blessings of we continue. We are a people of great value. That's why we stick together like tamarind stew. I remember Queen Mary, we make the fire burn, and Edward blinded with the Africa vision. Remember St. John with the slave rebellion. General Butler said emancipation. That's why the place nice, so nice, so nice. Sweet, sweet St. Thomas nice, so nice, so nice. St. Croix full of pure vibes, so nice, so nice. St. John a real paradise, so nice, so nice. We got so much to prove, yet so much to lose. Virgin Island teachers never rise no fool. Mama sent me school. Yeah. St. Croix produced the band Midnight, and them the kind of roots make the fire ignite, yo. Julian Jackson was a champion in the ring, and now him three sons them a do the same thing, yeah. Tim Duncan come from the VI, one of the greatest, and the world can see why, yeah. If you ever ask me where I'm from, born in the Virgin Island, and the whole place nice, so nice, so nice. Sweet, sweet St. Thomas nice, so nice, so nice. St. Croix full of pure vibes, so nice, so nice. St. John a real paradise, so nice, so nice. Virgin Island's nice, so nice, so nice. Rock City sweet and nice, so nice, so nice. Twin City full of pure vibes, so nice, so nice. Love City a real paradise, so nice, so nice. I'm so proud to be from the VI, a place of history like the African side, yeah. St. Thomas and St. John to the Virgin Islands. Oh na na, oh na na na. Reconnect with paradise. The VI slides with the embers of the sea. The Virgin Islands, they are calling out to me. The VI slides with the embers of the sea. The Virgin Islands, they are calling out to me.
Now, back to the hottest talk show on the net with your host, Russ Sills.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the hottest talk show on the net. It's your boy, Russ Sills, back again. It's Friday, August the 20th, 2021. We're getting ready to, kind of come down to the Labor Day weekend, man. But anyway, tonight we have a great show in store for y'all. We have the infamous, we have the Commissioner of Department of Tourism of the U.S. Virgin Islands, Mr. Joseph Boschulte. But that would be sounding good if I had doctor in front of it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so we have Mr. Boschulte. He's on the virtual guest tonight on the JMO talk show. So make sure I tell a friend to all my class of CAHS class of 1987 in the house. We want to make sure y'all share the live. We have your classmate, Mr. Joseph Boschulte, on the JMO Talk Show tonight. Good evening, Joseph. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And I appreciate you, man. I know this is a busy time. Summertime, always a good time for business in the Virgin Islands. So I really appreciate you taking time out to come on the JMO Talk Show. But before we get started, I want to just kind of give a background of Mr. Boschulte, a quick background bio. Also, before we get started, just wanted to say, just do a little quick pause, a little 10-second pause for all our fallen Virgin Islanders that passed away in the recent days. May they rest in peace. All right, so tonight we have Mr. Joseph Boschulte, Commissioner of the U.S. Virgin Islands Department of Tourism here tonight. We have a lot of questions for Mr. Boschulte tonight, and of course, the big question for 2022, that's going to be asked tonight. So we're going to hear from the horse's mouth tonight of Carnival 2022 in St. Thomas, the 70th anniversary. So we're going to talk to Mr. Boschulte about that. But before we get started, let me give you all a quick bio of Mr. Boschulte. Mr. Joseph Boschulte, the Commissioner for the U.S. Virgin Islands Department of Tourism. Commissioner Boschulte brings to the Tourism Department vast experience in business and in government, as well as a track record of improving organizational performance and growth. He formerly served as President and CEO of the West Indian Company Limited, that's WICO, where he currently serves as Chairman of the Board of Directors. Commissioner Boschulte, who earned an MBA from Darden Schools of Business at the University of Virginia and has held high-level positions in transportation, utilities, telecommunication, finance, government development, and investment banking. A strategic team leader, Commissioner Boschulte served as the Chief Financial Officer of both the Virgin Islands WAPA and WAPA Water and Power Authority and the government of the Virgin Islands Employees Retirement System, which is GERS. He also chaired the VI Public Services Commission and currently sits on the board of the Virgin Islands Port Authority. A former vice president of institutional advancement at the University of the Virgin Islands, UVI, and executive director for UVI's Rico Center for the Arts. Commissioner Boschulte previously served as senior vice president, corporate finance with Wachovia Securities in Atlanta. Oh, okay, ties in Atlanta, I got you. And also vice president of Bank of America Securities in Charlotte and New York City. Commissioner Boschulte and his wife, Aisha, are the proud parents of Jaden and Janae. Ladies and gentlemen, my virtual guest for this evening, Commissioner of the Department of Tourism of the U.S. Virgin Islands, Mr. Joseph Boschulte. Great intro, great intro.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, so what's going on, Joe? Can I get comfortable and say Joe or Mr. Boschulte? I don't want people to say, oh, he kind of comfortable.
No. Joe's fine. That's good.
Joe's fine? Okay.
We're gonna have a nice Friday evening conversation.
That's what
life in the VI. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. We nobody putting on no tie and thing. This is relaxation. The only thing we just missing now is a cup of Kuja rum.
Exactly. Soon.
So what's going on, Joe? It's August. I know there's a lot going on in the Virgin Islands, especially with the COVID situation. But I'm just gonna let the listeners know a little bit about what's your day-to-day activity in the office in the Virgin Islands, in the department.
Yeah, thank you for that, Russ. As I said, thank you for having us meeting the Department of Tourism to speak a little bit about what we've been doing throughout COVID-19. We've been fortunate as a destination in the Caribbean to be doing extremely well with overnight guests. Right now, we are at the top of the mountain, so to speak, in the Caribbean in terms of some of the metrics for overnight guests. So our average daily rate, our revenue for available room, our occupancy levels are at the top in the Caribbean. So we're very thankful for that. our June and July was basically like a in-season months. We have seen a little bit of a drop-off over the last 10 days or so. We believe it's a couple of factors. One is the Delta variant, of course, which is spreading all over the US. And just to put it in context, our base of visitors to the USVI leisure guests, 95% plus come from the US. So as the US moves, the territory moves from a tourism basis. Secondly, as you know, Russ, Atlanta and many of the schools in the South and the Southwest have gone back to school full time. Yeah. So that has eased some of the traffic that was coming through before. And then lastly, people have gone back to work. So we did expect to see a little bit of a slowdown as we move into August. And then we know we're going to see a slowdown in September because the airlines generally start pulling flights toward the end of August and September to do maintenance, quote unquote, or really to get them out of the hurricane alley that we are, as we know that this time of the year, we start to move into our peak hurricane season. As a matter of fact, the USVI, we're thankful, we got grazed by Francis, and then we got hit, by Grace, but there were tropical storms, and we had a lot of rain out of them. And when I say that, I say it with all due respect to natural disasters, because I lived through Irma and Maria, which was just 4 years ago. And that was the worst I've ever seen in any natural disaster, and I don't want to see those again. Wow. But for the most part, on a positive note, we have been doing extremely well from an economy standpoint. And I want to thank Governor Albert Bryan, Lieutenant Governor Jogenza Roach, Commissioner Encarnacion, because they are the ones that have allowed for tourism to prosper in the territory by having the leadership heart to allow us to open our borders way back in June. So we opened in June of 2020. We opened up for roughly 10 weeks, and our COVID numbers spiked as the US was spiking. We shut down. The COVID team met, and we all agreed, if we reopen, we cannot reopen doing the same things we were doing before. So we're going to shut back down. We're going to just be a roller coaster, like many of our Caribbean brethren. They open up for a little bit, then they shut back down. Right. We've been fortunate to hold open for a long time. Now, the part that the USVI, particularly St. Thomas, was known for in tourism for many, many decades is cruise ships. And before last month, we hadn't seen a cruise ship in over a year. Could you imagine the USVI without cruise ships? But we've been living it, and we've been doing extremely well.
But Joe, I mean to cut you out with that. No, it felt I was home in December and I was home in March for my birthday. It felt funny, like when I was going over to Waiko, over by the bar, Hugo Bar, and you normally see like ships behind of his bar, but it felt so funny that something was missing. The cruise ships. We are accustomed to seeing cruise ship in our harbor, cruise ship over Havenside, cruise ship even down to Crown Bay. You see what I'm saying? So it felt really funny. Just felt weird.
Yeah, we all grew up, seeing them driving up the waterfront. Almost every day you see at least one of them sitting there. Yeah. And then to go for a period of time where we literally didn't see any. And the Caribbean didn't see any for over a year. So we have begun seeing cruise ships again. So Crown Bay has seen about 6 or 7 cruise ships. We had one in St. Croix 2 days ago. So we're starting to see cruise ship activity again, which again complements our overall tourism product, because it's a very different business. As we all know, the cruise ship business is basically 5 or 6 hours in town. But what we are becoming to appreciate more, especially us in the hospitality business, is the overnight guest business. That's on average 7 days, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, happy hour, people spending all the time moving around. Hotels, sharing economies like Airbnb, VRBO, bars, restaurants, cafes, excursions, just a straight spend all around happening on all 3 islands, St. Thomas, St. Croix, and St. John, and Water Island. So that it has been really, really good for us. I think if you've been home in December and March, you could definitely tell that there is a nice positive energy in the USVI right now. And a lot of it has to do with the commerce we have. Of course, the situation is very fluid. We all are living with the realities of COVID-19. I could tell you our numbers in the USVI have been up now for the last almost 2 weeks. We're hovering a little over 300 positive cases right now. Wow. Positivity rate is about 5.5%. Not horrible, but not where we were under 2%. And again, it goes to show that we still have to be diligent in doing the things that have allowed us to stay open for this long. Sanitizing, social distancing when you're around people, making sure you wear the mask. I mean, Governor Bryan has been very firm in making sure we maintain our mask wearing throughout the pandemic. And then, oddly enough, in this state, in Georgia, we and as well as throughout the U.S., we've seen the battle as to whether you wear masks or not with school kids. So I mean, I always caution our successes with a reality check that we have not moved out of COVID-19, and as quickly as things could happen, they could go away quickly if we don't do the things that the scientists and doctors are telling us to do.
So how is it critical? The travel screening portal have been, restarting our economy. A lot of people still, even to this day, Joe, that when people travel into the Virgin Islands, they call me or text me, "Hey, I saw you back home. What do you need to do? What all of the credentials do you need in order to get back home?" And I'm like, I don't work for the travel screening portal. I mean, I was clueless as well. But how is it critical and how is it working? And is there a way where people who try to navigate how to get to the Virgin Islands to work on, to get on this travel screening portal and how to operate it? Because I myself was kind of uncomfortable, kind of scared that I'm doing it correctly. But for people that don't know how to navigate or who like to travel to the Virgin Islands, where can you tell them to go to get this travel screening portal or learn more about it?
Yeah, thank you for that. The first thing is if you have any doubts, go to USVIupdate.com. That gives you an outline of what you need to do to travel to the territory. I'll tell you that right now, it's pretty simple. If you're traveling to the USVI, you need to have a COVID test within 5 days of travel. We used to have the availability of an antibody test, but because of the Delta and how virulent it is, we have the health department has recommended us to not have the antibody test be a way to get in anymore. So right now, for the large majority of people, you have to take a negative test within 5 days. Or if you are vaccinated in the territory and you have your valid vaccine card showing you have 2 shots of COVID-19 at least 2 weeks after the second shot, you can upload that vaccination card and come in without a test. We are working to get people who are vaccinated in the continental US and internationally to come up once we get the databases to speak, because we really don't want to we need to be able to verify that people are truly vaccinated. Very similar to what we do for the negative test. I can tell you that travel portal system has been very, very good in terms of our ability to keep the territory protected on a whole, keep our numbers down because you have to get a test within 5 days. We have had over 780,000 people put in information in the portal to travel to the territory since June of 2020. And that's to either you're flying into St. Croix or to St. Thomas, you have to upload this information into the portal. And what we have seen is that by having this information and having people go through it, one, it is not meant to be an inconvenience to anybody. It's really meant to help protect us all. Whether you're a leisure guest or a visitor, we all want to be protected, knowing that many people coming from different places that have high COVID, and we just want to protect, and this allows you to protect. The second reason is it allows us to have the ability, meaning us, the health department and the Department of Tourism, to be able to contract trace people if somebody happens to become positive. So we could go on now and say, oh, Ross Sills was sitting in row 10A, the people be in front of him and behind him per the CDC, we need to contact them to tell them monitor themselves while we get through this period. And that's what that information gives us. And then lastly, it provides us with the opportunity of telling people who want to come to the USVI, these are the protocols you have to do when you come. And if you do not want to take a test, you probably should not be coming to the USVI. You could go to other destinations that have no requirements. But we want people to know that if you do come to the USVI, you have to pass this initial protocol so that it can help improve the chances that we don't have COVID spread in the USVI.
Most definitely. One of the things that I was searching on the internet this week was I was looking to see if the Department of Tourism had any type of promo pertaining to what you just said, as far as, okay, we have a vast majority of people coming to the Virgin Islands because of the quote unquote slogan, no passport needed. So we've seen many people who haven't traveled to the Caribbean, within last year and this year, of course, with the stimulus money and so forth. So people have money to travel and spend. But I was looking on the internet to see if there was any type of promo as far as saying, hey, no passport needed. However, these are the requirements that we expect you to have when you're traveling to the U.S. Virgin Islands, which is St. Thomas, St. Croix, and St. John. So is that something that we're looking for, or something that could be maybe talk about or probably put in the budget maybe sometime soon or next year? Because I think the increase of tourism, people coming to the Virgin Islands, is not going to die down, because
Right.
I mean, people, they see that no passport needed. The Virgin Islands, you could travel to St. Thomas and go to St. John for the day. So that's like you're killing two birds with one stone. So I don't see that the decrease of people, we might have a little slow season, of course, which is the hurricane season coming up. But after that, is full force again. You know what I'm saying? Everybody coming because they're trying to get away from the cold and etc. So is that something that could be implemented in the future as far as promo, especially on social media? Everybody on social media. Everybody look for whatever is going on social media. So is that something that you thought about?
Yeah, definitely. We have actually been running some graphics that speak specifically to the process, what you need to do in terms of having a test to come in, but you do not need to have a test from leaving the USVI back into the continental US because we are domestic. I think, Rush, you hit on a lot of the points. You might gotta come work for tourism. You know exactly what it is we're doing. But you hit on a lot of the points that we talk about in terms of what's necessary, how important it is. So we definitely have been using, actually, much of our marketing and advertising throughout the pandemic has been on social media and through various digital platforms, Pandora, different pieces on Condé Nast Traveler online, because these pieces are where everybody has been. Everybody has been tuned in online, listening to your show and other shows, because that's what we've been doing. We've been home.
Right.
And I think what has happened is we benefited from the fact that we've stayed top of mind throughout the entire pandemic. So you've seen the USVI, people know the USVI. As you mentioned, Russ, no passport necessary. But I think the other part that we have been telling people that has resonated, particularly in a time of crisis, has been your ATM cards work in the USVI. Your cell phones work in the USVI. Your health card, if you get sick, work in the USVI. And when people start to hear that, they feel comfortable traveling to the USVI. And then lastly, as a US territory, throughout the entire pandemic, Sierra Leone King Airport or Hera in St. Croix never closed. The Henry Rosen Airport in St. Croix never closed, because the FAA controls the opening and closing of US airports. So our airport stayed open the whole time. So even when we had a cut back in flights, if you wanted to leave the territory as a resident or as a visitor, you could leave. Some of the other islands, when you get closed down, you in if you didn't get out.
I'm glad you mentioned that. What is the status as far as, well, I know now people are not trying to go to the BVI due to the increase of the COVID-19. However, our sister island, the BVI, we have a lot of people from the Virgin Islands that have family from the BVI. Is there something that is being worked on as we speak, as far as how we could travel, like how it used to take us about 45 minutes just to get to Rotong, Tatola, or on the other side, east end? Is there something that we're working on? I could say the tourism or the US Virgin Islands working on, where we could start traveling back to the BVI as normal? Because I was told that in order to get to the BVI, I think you have to go to Puerto Rico, and then from Puerto Rico you fly in to Tatola, which that's hours just to get to Tatola, which it normally takes 45 minutes on a boat. So is there something that we're working on in the near future that the listeners could probably kind of catch on or to know so they could let the family members know what's the status as far
Yeah,
as
yeah, that's a good point, Rush, you make. What has been happening is, I'll mention this over and over, it's a fluid situation. So entry into the BVI has continued to change from the beginning of COVID, where you couldn't go in at all, to, well, as you mentioned, you could come in, but you had to fly in, to now that you could come in via ferry. So right now, before the big outbreak in the BVI with their COVID outbreak last month, there were 2 ferries a day from St. Thomas to Road Town every day of the week.
Oh.
That has since been cut back to 1, and there was a cap on it. It was only 50 people or 55 people on each run to the BVI and each run from the BVI down. So there were 2 ferries a day going up. Now, with the outbreak in the BVI and in the USVI, mainly St. Thomas, St. John, for the trips to the BVI, we're down to 1 ferry run a day from St. Thomas to BVI into Road Town, and 1 from Road Town back to St. Thomas. But the government, the USVI government, led by Governor Bryan, and Prime Minister Foy, have been in conversations. We've been in conversations with our peers. The health department have been in conversation with the peers to assist. So I'll give you one big step that has been happening. Just recently started a little over a week ago, where BV Islanders can come down into the USVI, into St. John, be vaccinated with either the Pfizer or the Moderna vaccination, and go back up to the BVI. So that is a opening of showing the closeness, as you mentioned, between people from the BVI and the USVI. So people have been coming in. I could tell you the ferry runs, because people who move from the BVI into the USVI have to fill out the portal, as well as international travelers coming in, and their rules are different. They have to have a COVID test within 2 days of travel from the BVI to the USVI. So if you're coming from the mainland, it's 5 days. If you're coming from the BVI, it's 2 days. And if you're coming from international, it's 3 days. So there are different sets of rules on COVID testing, depending on where you're coming from. But BVI is 2 days into the USVI. And of course, if you're leaving from the USVI to the BVI, there are different rules with the number of COVID tests you have to take. And if you're vaccinated, I don't believe you have to quarantine for a long period of time. But I would advise anybody who plans to go to the BVI to look up their protocols online, just to be sure.
Most definitely. Okay, so I'm going to shift the question now. We talk about boats, ships, etc. Let's talk about an airplane situation. I see that we had new aircraft that recently joined flying to the Virgin Islands. It starts with an F. Frontier. I was saying foreign. Frontier. Frontier have started travel from St. Thomas to the U.S. mainland, right?
Orlando and
Miami. What about St. Croix? I know a lot of listeners right now from St. Croix are listening. Okay, what about us? I always hear that from the cruise ship. What about us? Is there any increase of flights going from St. Croix to the U.S. mainland, or any new flight carrier have joined Frontier as well, flying to the Virgin Islands?
Yes. Well, in St. Croix specifically, we were up over 50% year over year in terms of lifting to St. Croix. We had 2 flights a day in from Miami direct, and we had a direct flight 7 days a weekend from Charlotte, North Carolina. That moved from 1 day to 7 days. We also had flights in from Spirit that moved from 4 days to 7 days a week to daily flights. We are working, and Delta, of course, had flights in from Atlanta into St. Croix daily. And that was 3 days before. So we've seen an increase in the number of flights a day. Our numbers into St. Croix for the summer and the winter season of 2021 were a little over 9,500 seats a week, which is up from before COVID and up from better than it was before the Hurricanes Irma and Maria. So we had passed those stages, so we're doing really, really well. We expect the season coming up again, beginning in November, to see an increase in flights in. We are working on some new routes that we can't mention yet as we're closing out, trying to finalize some things, but they're looking very, very strong. One of the things we did to build the brand awareness of St. Croix was to come up with a new brand and to market St. Croix as its own destination. St. Croix, a vibe like no other. We actually had launched it in January of 2020, right before the pandemic. It was trending really well. But we believe that we have repositioned that brand again into the community. We have the DV Hotel that's coming back in October that has almost 200 rooms. That's going to be all-inclusive, opening up October 1. So we expect that to help us in terms of securing new lift for St. Croix. So right now we'll have flights coming in from Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Atlanta, and we're working on some other flights in. We have Charlotte coming in, and we are working on some flights, hopefully from the Northeast. And we are still trying to get some stuff in internationally. St. Thomas, on the other hand, we have flights in coming in from across the eastern seaboard, from as far north as Boston to as far south as Miami. We have 10 flights a day at times coming in from Florida into St. Thomas and St. Croix. So big base for us in Florida between Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and Orlando. And then Atlanta, during the season, on a Saturday and some Sundays, we had 4 direct Deltas in from Atlanta to St. Thomas. That's how busy it was. And what we've been doing with Delta during the pandemic, it's up over 200+% from where it's been before the flights in on Delta into the USVI. And then we were very successful in bringing in flights from opening up the West Coast with 2 direct flights in from Dallas into St. Thomas, as well as flights in from Chicago, O'Hare, and Minnesota. And we're working on some other flights in the Midwest to come into St. Thomas and hopefully St. Croix. So from an overnight perspective, the reason why our tourism product is flourishing the way it is because of airlift. And of course, with increased airlift to where we have it, increases competition. I tell people I've seen so many of our Virgin Islanders come home during the pandemic with their families who had not been to the VI in a long time. But the combination of kids being home and people being home, and as you mentioned, some available disposable income, combined with the fact that it was pretty cheap to travel home. I've been traveling home back and home for 30+ years, and I don't think it's ever been this affordable to travel between the United States and the VI as it is right now. If you go online right now,
No, I was saying true story, Joe. I'm here in Atlanta for 22 years, 22 years this year. And, over the years, it's either I'm traveling to the Virgin Islands one time per year, right? Which is, Carnival, if not Carnival, maybe, to visit home. But this was the first time in many years that I happened to travel home in December, which was the first time I've been home for Christmas since 1999. And then I had the opportunity to come back again in March for my birthday. So I was like, wow, things have really changed. And I just wanted to piggyback on what you said, that it's very cheap to travel home now. Back then, like I said, I had to save up for a year just to make sure that I have, my plane ticket, if I have to rent a car or spend the money. Now it's very affordable, to travel to the Virgin Islands. So I just wanted to piggyback on that as well.
Yeah, so we've been fortunate for that in the sense that, people have been coming home, been affordable. But one of the things I tell people, we sometimes get caught up in the STEMI traveler, and we hear some of the negative feedback about people moving around. And what I tell them is, right now, the average hotel room in the U.S. Virgin Islands is $568 a night. That's the average price. Right now, the USVI is sandwiched between Anguilla and St. Bart's. So when people say, yeah, cheap, and people, no. You can get some cheap airfares and you might be fortunate to find a place, but the average hotel room is over $500 a night in the USVI, which is good for the overall economy. So that means, and as you mentioned, people are coming in with their families and friends, and they're hanging out and they're spending. You go all over the islands. I'm sure when you were there last in March, Ross, and you moved around the islands, you see people everywhere.
Yeah. Red Hook is like they have their own type of town now where that's a location where you go hang out. But I wanted to touch base with John. I'm glad you talk about the different areas, especially in St. Thomas. Main Street have developed one of a kind, one of the best places right now that if you want to take pictures, like engagement pictures, wedding pictures, or even just social media pictures, how they develop Main Street looking like, wow, beautiful. You know, how they paved the road, the whole historic architect, etc. What is it? When will we see Main Street back to normal, like how it used to be, where, I mean, it's like a traffic jam driving down Main Street. When I say traffic jam, where I remember like you in traffic just to drive from Cardo all the way down to the library. When are we going to see that part of St. Thomas back to normal again?
Yeah, I think that's a good point of reference. You know, I tell people, I just had a conversation last week with a Rotary group home, and I told them when I was growing up, downtown, back street, waterfront, Main Street, after
Easy,
5 o'clock in the day, busy.
easy.
Clubs, restaurants. You go downtown every day
After
of the week,
6,
things happening.
easy. Yeah.
Now you go downtown, is nothing happening, right? And in the day, you know, we haven't seen it. We're hoping now with the new construction finish. Hopefully now the cruise ships will be coming back to inject a little life in Main Street during the day. But I think, like I tell people, I think we have to get some kind of residential movement back in downtown so that we could get restaurants and activities back in downtown after 5 o'clock. You know, our downtown is like I equate it to some of the cities in the mainland that used to be bubbling downtown. Then everybody moved to the suburbs, and then downtown just shuts down. That's kind of what's happening now. Red Hook happening, Havenside happening in the night, Frenchtown still happening in the night, Cruz Bay in St. John. You have people leaving St. Thomas, going up to Cruz Bay every night now to hang out in Cruz Bay and catch the last boat back down. So the activities have moved from outside of downtown to other parts of the island. And I think we have, as you mentioned it, we have beautiful architecture downtown. The street is beautiful. You have parking around, but we have to get the businesses back. And I think either we have to inject some boutique hotels downtown and get residential units back in town. Most people don't know many of those buildings downtown, whether on Back Street, in the alleys, and the waterfront, they have complete second levels up above that could actually turn into residential stuff. So hopefully we got some young entrepreneurs out there that can come in and help regentrify downtown so we could get it back. And this is St. Thomas, and I'm sure the same thing can be done in Christiansted and Frederiksted as well.
I see that one of the things that I saw that is a plus, you know, in the Virgin Islands, we like to party. I'm gonna let's keep it 100. We like to party. It doesn't matter. We like to party. And I think that having something like on a Friday night, you know, like for example, this whole summer should have been a promo where we trying to regentrify downtown Charlotte Mali, or even trying to get people to come back and support the local businesses downtown Charlotte Mali, whereas, you know, we have something set up at the Market Square. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, it don't have to be all night. It could just be from 6 to 10 or 6 to 9. That's something that, you know, every Friday you could come down with your chair or even listen to jazz music. And it's just something what I'm trying to say is, here in Atlanta over the summer, we have East Point, we have Centennial Park, we have different areas in Metro Atlanta. They have entertainment. They have entertainment where you come with your chair, it's free of charge. You just come with a chair. They have the local vendors, different vendors with the food vans and so forth set up. And people just come with the chairs and listen to music, whether you want to dance, sit down, enjoy yourself, something just to kind of have the businesses downtown Charlotte Mali to start, you know, getting a little kickstart. A lot of money been issued out from last year till now. Stimulus, I call it the Biden money. We had the Trump money, the Biden money, the PPP loans, all of this. People make money, people gather money. This is something that the Virgin Islands should have kind of say, well, okay, hey, we got thousands of people traveling to the Virgin Islands. Let's, instead of certain people making money, let everybody eat, and which is the local businesses. We have a lot of local businesses that people open up, spend their life saving, starting a business, And you know, it's a great feeling to be an entrepreneur, especially in the Virgin Islands. So that should have been something, I'm just saying, talk about, you know, when we having conversations as far as what we could do to kind of, you know, jumpstart businesses or happening in downtown Charlotte Tamales. It don't have to be every weekend, or it don't have to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It could just be Friday night wind down. Just something just to kind of see how the people in the Virgin Islands kind of take it. You know what I'm saying? I understand we have a lot of things to take into consideration. I know the first thing people want to say, Joe, is COVID.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, we were looking into that, Russ, and I think we still have it on the second iteration. I think we're gonna we had supported about 6 weeks ago opening or having activities where Main Street was closed Friday evenings from 5 to 8. The stores were going to be open, and I think where the issue is exactly what happened or what didn't happen, didn't allow it to be as successful as it could be, which was our idea is to allow it to turn Main Street into an activity and a draw, live entertainment, put a couple food trucks on the main street. And then by default now, people are going to come in from the hotels and the local community going to come out, and all of us social distance, wear the mask, do what you need to do, open air. And then people would have then shop and then understand that this activity is happening. But what happened is the first iteration, there was some COVID concerns about mass gatherings, and there were also some concerns about you know, how could you do it and manage it? And I think we continue to evolve. Now, hopefully we get through this Delta spike that we have going on right now, where we could, you know, the governor prudently made the decision to cut back mass gatherings to 50 and made some other decisions because our numbers have bounced up. And you know, the thing with COVID, you know, the USVI has been very successful in managing COVID, right? The governor has been very strong in his position from the beginning that you can't run from COVID. It's going to be around. So you have to manage it. And that's what we're trying to do right now, is manage it. And I think the next iteration is exactly what you said, Ross. We need to invite people back to Main Street to understand how pretty and how comfortable you could be in Main Street on the waterfront, back street. And like I said, when we grew up, that's how it was. You move from space to space. It didn't make a difference. You go from a small dive bar to a high-end restaurant or vice versa. Just hang out, and it was the place to be. And sometimes it hurts my heart when I drive down Main Street at 6:30 on a Tuesday night, and every single thing closed. And we're trying to get that back. The second thing we have to do is we did it at Havenside Mall when I was a CEO at Wyco. You have to diversify your product mix. The days of everybody coming in to buy jewelry are no longer the same. You got to put some restaurants in there. I tell people when we did that deal with Tap and Still in Havenside, people who've been around Havenside would remember that Tap and Still used to be a Scotia bank. That was a bank.
And the corner.
And we recognized that the banks weren't coming back. They were all consolidating. So we had a choice to say, well, we only gonna put a bank in there. No, we said, let's be creative. And we put in bars and restaurants. Now Havenside has come to life again. But it comes, you have to be creative, and you have to recognize that the wants are different from travelers. When we travel now, we don't go buy a jewelry per se unless it's a special occasion. But what we would do is we're gonna go find that activity that's going on, and we're gonna go hang out, and we're gonna eat, and we're gonna drink, and we're gonna have a good time, irrespective of where it is on the island. We have to create that energy. And I think that's one of the reasons why, to tie it back to what I do every day, which is market the US Virgin Islands, is that's why people love coming to the USVI, because of our people and how infectious, that probably is not a good word to use in a pandemic, right? But how great our personalities are as we move through and people, and entertain people when they come in and have them feel welcome.
Joe, let me say this here, and I'm going to be biased by what I'm about to say right now. I've been to, you know, some cruises down island. No disrespect, please, nobody don't come for me. But I've been to plenty islands, and everybody have a diamond in the rough, certain things that they target. You know what I'm saying? Certain islands. The U.S. Virgin Islands, when I tell you, are precious jewels. We are a jewel of the islands. We have the beaches. I am being biased. I have not seen pretty beaches other than the U.S. Virgin Islands. St. Thomas, St. Croix, and St. John have the beautiful beaches. And I always said, if you never travel on cruises and you see the beaches and you're like, this is what y'all call beach. See, the Virgin Islands have beautiful beaches. I'm telling you, beautiful, beautiful beaches. You understand? And that's what I'm saying. We have something to offer. And what Joe just said, the people, regardless of what we Virgin Islanders, we don't come for me. Don't come for us when it comes to us. What I'm saying is we could go back and forth and so forth on social media. But when it comes to the US Virgin Islands, that flag, that eagle, that white flag with the eagle, that golden eagle with the two sticks them in the foot. Don't come for us. The US Virgin Islands, we have a lot of pride. We have a lot of pride, especially people from the Virgin Islands. But we have a lot to offer. And I keep telling people when I have had nurses here in Atlanta, Joe, have traveled back to St. Thomas, they come back, they say nothing but good things that they had, when they traveled to the Virgin Islands. They stayed at Margaritaville, they stayed in St. John, and they're like, oh man, they're ready to go back. And that's what I love. That's what makes me feel so good. Like, man, like people finally come to my hometown, they see what the Virgin Islands, they see what we have to offer, and I love it. You know what I'm saying? And I just wanted to commend anybody that is in the tourism business, whether you're a taxi driver, we're going to talk about Airbnb coming up next, hotel industry, the airport, the charter, whatever. We want to commend y'all for doing a great job, man, because you're going to have the naysayers and the little different stuff, the bad apples. But for the most part, people are coming to the Virgin Islands because they love the relaxation, the tranquility. You know what I'm saying? You could, like, don't get me wrong, you could get drunk for $10 down there. I'm saying, but on the real, we have a lot to offer the U.S. Virgin Islands. I have a lot of pride for where I'm from, and I love it.
No, I appreciate that for sure.
Yeah, most definitely. Now, my next question. Now we talk about cruise ship, we talk about the port, we talk about airplane industry. Now let's talk about the hotel industry, Airbnb. That was one of the questions that I said, Joe, I really want to address to you about that because Airbnb, I know that Airbnb kind of sort of take over in the U.S. Virgin Islands to help out with the hotel industry. Of course, our big parent hotel, Marriott, has been down for years now, and I know once it do open, it's going to be crazy. I've seen pictures, and it's beautiful over there. However, I guess the situation with it being resold. Tell us a little bit about that Marriott industry, Frenchman's Reef. What's the status with that? And the hotel industry. I see that Bluebirds have came back to normal, but what about down by the airport where Elysian is at? We had the Island Beachcomber, which is now is covered with grass. Let us know, the listeners and myself, what's the status on that as well?
Yeah, just to provide a little context, before the major hurricanes kicked in, we had over 5,000 rooms available between the three islands in terms of overnight rooms to stay in. Irma Maria destroyed Frenchman Reef, destroyed Canil Bay, did serious damage to Carambola and St. Croix, destroyed Divi. Unfortunately, did damage to the Ritz, and I could go on and on with the damage that was done after those two hurricanes. We've seen the Ritz come back, and the Ritz is one of the top performing properties in the world, the Ritz in the US Virgin Islands. Then you have Other properties, like you mentioned, our timeshare properties are performing at the highest level across the United States. That's a Margaritaville, the Westin in St. John, 95% plus occupancies during the last year. Extremely strong performance. But what has helped us do what we've been doing in tourism has been the sharing economy space. That's Airbnb, VRBO, home away from home, the villa markets. Right now in the territory, we have well over 2,300 units available. If we did not have those units available, we would not be in the position we were in from a tourism standpoint. Because when we sit with the airlines, we just sat with two of them last week, we asked two questions. One is, how's your COVID? And two, how's your accommodations? Because all these people coming in and need places to stay. And you mentioned Airbnb, which is the biggest one, but of course you have others like VRBO and home away from home. But those markets have been doing really, really well for us as a destination from a macro level. And then now we start to see that people are recognizing that this space can be very beneficial for you as an individual homeowner from a personal income standpoint. So we're seeing a lot of people convert apartments into Airbnbs. You're seeing people stay in, if you drive around to areas around the island, that's St. Thomas, St. Croix, and St. John, way up in the hills where tourists never used to be. You see them walking out to the main road because the taxis don't know where Route 33 is to get up into these places. So they have to walk down to the main road. And I'm saying that to illustrate the huge demand that we have. But specific to your question, Russ, we have well over 2,200 rooms and it's growing every month. Now, unfortunately, we have a potential issue on the horizon. And this is coming from Joe Boschulte, Virgin Islander, and not Joe Boschulte, Commissioner of Tourism, which is many people are not renewing the leases with people who were staying in these apartments, and they're converting them to Airbnbs because of the dollar potential. So we start to see teachers and managers of restaurants and managers in hotels can't find places to stay because they can't get the leases in anymore. So this is something we have to manage. I mean, and this is one of the pieces that come in when you're doing extremely well in a particular business space, that out of it comes other challenges that you have to manage. Now, the good thing is Governor Bryan and Lieutenant Governor Roach and the team are well aware of it. You're starting to see some housing go up in different places to help with the demand. But I told people that Airbnb came in very strong for the USVI after Hurricanes Irma and Maria. And I tell people it's here to stay. It's here to stay, one, because there's a large amount of people that prefer to stay in an Airbnb over a traditional hotel room. You could stay with your family in a house. You don't have to worry about, different rooms. You pay one rate for the week and you stay. If you want to cook, you could cook. The second reason is in the pandemic itself, we found that our Airbnb spaces and the attractiveness of people staying outside and away from people is beneficial. So you want to see people, you go out. If you don't want to see people, you don't have people in your elevator. You don't have any of that. And we especially see that on a marine side. When you ask a question about Airbnb, what people don't know, our demand in March, April, and May this year, there were charter yacht boats that were converting to Airbnb in the St. Thomas Harbor, not leaving at all, but people were going to stay in these vessels because that's where the rooms were. That's how big the demand was in the USVI.
Wow.
So, and the opportunities are there. And of course, what helps make it all better is what you do and I do every day. We are on the net. So it's easy. You want to go now, you can look up right now, look up Airbnb in St. Thomas or St. John or St. Croix, and you can see a plethora of options. And you can make your decision right then and there online, and you don't have to pick up a phone yet. So all of these signal to Airbnb is going to be around in the USVI for a long time.
So how would the Virgin Islands they getting their share? I know that you said that people are not renewing their lease for like managers and teachers to stay at their home. They're converting it into Airbnb. But how the U.S. Virgin Islands getting their share, their fair share from the Airbnb? Because you're hearing a lot of stories where, and I ain't knocking nobody hustle, I ain't telling on nobody, but I mean, fair is fair. In order for us to keep things flowing and better roads and et cetera, people have to pay the bills. So how is it that the U.S. Virgin Islands getting their fair share with these Airbnbs? Because I'm hearing a lot of stuff that people are making mad money, like 10 grand a week. That's good money. People have to work 6 months just to make 10 grand. I'm just saying. In that aspect. So people making it in 1 week. I mean, how is it the Virgin Islands is getting their fair share?
Yeah, well, Airbnb has an agreement with the USVI government, right? So every dollar spent in an Airbnb, and this is official Airbnb. This is not you putting up online, you could come stay in my apartment. This is official Airbnb. The government gets their 12.5% of every room night. So that's a done deal. Matter of fact, our revenues in this year, I think the last time I checked, is up significantly in Airbnb this year over last year, and pushing close to where we were in 2019. Our overall hotel numbers, occupancy tax numbers coming into the government for the first 9 months of this year are better than it was for any of the entire year for the last 5 or 6 years. That's how strong our hotel product and business is. So we're doing extremely well there. Now we are trying to get and work on a similar agreement with VRBO and Home Away from Home to capture these monies too. But what people don't fully understand is when you do a deal with Airbnb and you do that deal, you don't do this. So let's say, Rush, you own an Airbnb in Peterborough in St. Thomas. The deal is I stay in your property, but my transaction is with Airbnb and not you, Russ. You then deal with Airbnb. So we are going to have some seminars, again, back with the public, with our Airbnb partners, so they could educate everybody on how the business works and how you market yourself. Matter of fact, tourism, we just did, I commend our team. We just did a Miles partnership, one of our marketing agencies. We just did a nice seminar to help small businesses in the territory this week, to help you get up on Yelp, Google, use Google Business to get your businesses positioned well. We're going to be doing a series of these over the next several months, again, to help our own people benefit from where we are. And of course, in your business, this radio show, Ross, there are things that you have to do, the blocking and tackling to succeed. And that's what we're trying to do. You have to have your web page, but not have just a web page, but have your web page registered properly, have the right pictures, so that when people search for you, you are much better positioned than if you did not do these things. So there are tools out there that we're trying to use, and we're going to do the same thing in our shared economy. We're going to do it with our business and restaurants, bars, restaurants, and other excursion businesses, because our goal in tourism is not just to welcome people. That's a major part of it. But if our own people can't benefit from it, then we're not doing everything we could do.
Most definitely, most definitely. Before we go any further, I forgot to give a shout out to everybody on my Facebook Live. I know they're joining in. A lot of people are tuning in and listening to us. So shout out to everybody on Facebook Live. Beverly Thomas, Benjamin, I see you. Thank you for tuning in. Lorena Foy, all the way from Florida. Thank you for tuning in. Andre Henry, all the way from the ATL. Thank you for tuning in. Renwick Lynch, thank you for tuning in. Hector Rosario, pick up yourself, big brother. Thank you for tuning in. Scott Grill, thank you for tuning in. Julius Jackson, thank you for tuning in. The chef, thank you for tuning in. Chef say he's doing big things at the Palms Hotel in St. Croix. So just to let you know that he's going to be doing some pop-up chef over there in St. Croix. So big up to Julius, the chef. Jackson, thank you for tuning in. Lornette Williams, thank you for tuning in. Kelson Jordan, all the way from Florida, my classmate, thank you for tuning in. Charmel Martin, thank you for tuning in. Shelly HC from Atlanta, thank you for tuning in. Juanita, big sister, Juanita, my desire, thank you for tuning in. Jeffrey Fred, thank you for tuning in. Nicole Joseph, thank you for tuning in. The governor, Kasim DeWitt, thank you for tuning in. Rico Canario, all the way from Texas, thank you for tuning in. Pick up yourself. Also, who else we have? We have Steve Jones. Steve Jones, thank you for tuning in. Pascal Simeon, thank you for tuning in. Alana Tadman, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you. Ren Gums, Captain Ren, JMO Radio, thank you for tuning in. And of course, Tiffany Chichester, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate y'all, man. Make sure y'all share the live. Also, if you want to, if you missed this show, you can always check out my YouTube channel, hashtag JMO Talk Show. That's hashtag JMO Talk Show on YouTube. And this show should be up this weekend. So make sure y'all share the live and subscribe on my YouTube channel for more info. You can check out all my previous shows from today all the way back from last year, July. Appreciate you. If you're just joining us, we have the USVI Department of Tourism Commissioner, Mr. Joseph Boschulte. He's here with us tonight, just talking about the increase of the tourism industry in the U.S. Virgin Islands. It have skyrocketed even though we had a pandemic last year, business is booming. We are open for business in the USVI. However, you still have to be vaccinated if you want to visit the Virgin Islands. You have to be vaccinated. You have to be COVID negative, and also you have to have no passport needed. No passport needed. All right. So make sure.
Ross, let me just correct you.
Right.
You have to come in with a negative test. Of course, we would prefer that you're vaccinated, but you don't have to be vaccinated.
Okay.
But you will have to come with a negative test.
Gotcha. I like that. I like that, and I'm glad you kind of fix that, because right now we're having some little some debates back home as far as businesses are being forced to the employees to be vaccinated, or else they're not going to be employed. So that's something that's for a different subject. We are talking about tourism here with I keep saying Dr. Boschulte, Mr. Joseph Boschulte, class of 1987.
You see my future. You want me to go back to
Listen,
university?
I tell you, it sounds good, Dr. Boschulte. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Boschulte, it sounds good. And you know, you guys say, give a shout out to us. They call me Dr. Boschulte even before I give a doctorate.
Right.
All right, so we talked about the airplane industry, the cruise ship industry. We talk about hotel Airbnb. My last question for tonight is 9:03 p.m. We're going to go just a little bit over our 1 hour on the JMO talk show. My last question for tonight, and I know a lot of people who is tuning in right now wants to know the status on Carnival 2022 in St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John. I've told Joe before we start, I said, listen, I know plenty people already booked their ticket for next year Carnival. People have asked me, hey, when is Carnival next year? And I'd say, I don't know. I know it's the ending of April, within the beginning of May. But they kind of navigate, and they found out the dates for next year Carnival. However, with this whole COVID Delta variant, we have to come to a point where we have to have those two things under control. And what I'm saying under control is people have to do their diligence. I understand people concerned about not taking a vaccine shot. I've heard it all where people, the conspiracy theories out there, and so forth and so forth. The fact still remains, COVID is going to be here for a while. Delta is going to be here for a while. In order for us to be back to normal, some kind of normalcy, we have to do what we have to do. I could just speak on my part. I went and got the vaccinated. I was vaccinated from January, February. Took my first one in January, second one in early February. So I've been vaccinated for a while. And I took it just for peace of mind. And trust me, my mind was all over the place, because you have the wrong set of people telling you things, people sending you all type of stuff on social media. And I keep saying that people have agendas. My agenda is just to make sure that I'm safe. I work in a hospital. I see it every day. Now it's crazy. It's crazy right now. I went and got vaccinated. Have anything happened to me for the last 6-7 months? No. I suffer from allergies. My family have allergies. So if you see me with a towel and my nose running, it have nothing to do with the vaccinated shot. I have allergies. I have sinus. I take the flu shot every year at my job. We have to take the flu shot. If you're in the health industry, you have to take the flu shot. So my thing is this: I'm taking a flu shot for me to keep my job. That's something that we have to do. What's the difference with me taking a vaccine? I understand that it's not FDA approved. People have their own concerns and so forth. Different folks, different strokes, I tell people. But I do know that if doctors is taking it and we saying that, oh, this thing have such and such, if doctors is taking it, and let's just say the conspiracy theory is true, that they're killing you off. Okay, so if the doctors are getting killed off, who are they, where are we going to have the people to help us, the sick ones, if the doctors are taking it and they're dying? I mean, let's be real, people. Let's be real. But like I say, I'm not here campaigning on my JMO talk show for people why they should be vaccinated. I'm just saying now we're seeing that it's hitting close to home. We're having our friends, close friends, family members, best friends, loved ones are being COVID positive, even losing their lives. So in order for us to get to this question that I just asked Joe, what's the status for Carnival 2022, St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John? We have to do our part. Either you're going to be vaccinated. If you're not going to be vaccinated due to religious purposes and health issues or whatever, you still have to do your diligent with, which is walk with hand sanitizer, make sure you have a Lysol spray in your bag, mask down, social distancing. I mean, stay away from large gathering, etc. So Joe, I know you've been hearing this question here from me, from everybody. Are we having Carnival St. Thomas, St. Croix, St. John for 2022?
You know, that's the million-dollar question. I mean, we are hopeful. I mean, Ian Tormal, our director, Shamari Haynes, St. Croix, Halvahad, Leona Smith, everybody in festivals wants to have it. I think Governor Bryan, Lieutenant Governor Roach, I mean, we all want to have it. But you mentioned it just now. I mean, we cannot have it if we cannot control the virus. So the expectation is right now on our books, we still plan to do a very involved cruise and festival in December into January. I would tell you 6 weeks ago, we felt a lot better about having it than we do now with 300 plus positives in the territory. But so it depends. I mean, we know what the roadmap is, and we see it throughout the US. We see it in states that have higher vaccination rates than others. Their spikes are not as aggressive. In the territory right now, we know what will help. Now, the realities of it are COVID, as you mentioned, Ross, is going to be around. The issue is not COVID per se, it's hospital beds. That's what's happening right now. And it's a hospital beds, right? So people are not vaccinated, ending up in the beds. But what happens is if you have an abundance of beds and personnel to take care of people, you don't have that big of a problem, right? Because you can just keep putting them and people get sick and hopefully they make it. The problem we're running into now in the US, and we've seen it starting to happen for the first time to us in the USVI, is a push on the ICU beds. Mm-hmm. So that's where the concern is. Our people, we know COVID, we are around, we've seen it, we've been living with it almost 18 months. But the realities are now coming when people we know end up in the hospital and the vent and don't make it out. Now it becomes real, right? Because now you're like, it's not somebody in Alabama who dying. No, it's somebody who grew up down the street from us who dying. Yeah. So, and then now the difference with the Delta now, and this goes to us who like to fed, right? Mm. It's not the 88-year-old grandmother who dying now. It's the 38-year-old father of 3 kids dying now. And there's no rhyme or reason. So clearly from a Fed standpoint, we want to do it, but we have to do it responsibly. So we have done Carnival. We had a one night, one Fed in St. Thomas. We did it at Waco. We had Farmanapian, we had Spectrum, we had Cool Session, we had musicians, went very well. Only vaccinated people, no COVID spread. We did the same thing in St. John. We had a food fair where the vendors were vaccinated. Then we did an all vaccinated jam where we had Patrice Roberts, Spectrum, Cool Session, Rudy, Star Martin, great show, all vaccinated. What came out of it? No positives. So there is a method to this situation.
Yeah.
Now we cannot do full open festival events now because there's still people catching COVID all over the place. And as a government entity, we cannot be responsible for a super spreader event.
Right.
So we are planning, we are hopeful that, as the governor has said, we get to herd immunity. What I can tell you that is a little more positive this week versus last week, or actually last 2 weeks, we've actually seen an increase in our vaccination numbers in the territory, St. Thomas, St. Croix, and St. John. So people are starting to heed the message a little more that the vaccination is a viable solution. I'm like you, Russ. I don't tell people what they should or should not do. I am vaccinated, but eventually we're gonna have to make a decision around the risk. So we are definitely planning to move ahead. We have not received the no-go from the governor and St. Croix. Again, I'll tell you, it's fluid. So 6 weeks ago, we felt very, very good when the US numbers were down and USVI were down and we were under 2%. We're moving in the right direction. Now with the Delta, we're a little less positive. April 2020 for the St. Thomas 70th, we're still holding out all hopes that by then the world will be in a much better place with the virus in terms of vaccinations, more internationally, nationally, and in the territory. But at the end of the day, it comes down to our ability to party safely. And that comes right now. Before we used to worry about drunk driving. We still worry about drunk driving. Now we worry about people catching the virus. So we have a blueprint, and it's not popular with everybody, which is we will do some events, barring major catastrophe. They probably will be vaccinated events because we've done them and nobody gets sick. And of course that's the way we have to live now. And I think we're gonna start to see more and more that kind of opportunities happening around where there is going to be, especially I don't know if Russ, you're in the medical field, when the decision comes on by the FDA to go, I think Pfizer is next week and Moderna is coming up afterwards, where they become fully approved, that we will start to see many more mandates come in from different places, which will hopefully get us to herd immunity. And then we could be in a place where we could definitely fit.
Well, so, I think just by listening to you, I was thinking that, okay, more than likely that I hope people are listening very carefully to what Commissioner Boschulte is saying. That it's a possibility, is that the governor is up to what the governor decides, and he's going based on the numbers, right? However, listen very carefully to what Joe said. He said, more than likely it's going to be vaccinated events. The numbers have shown that they had 2 or 3 events that only with vaccinated people that could have joined the events, the Fed, and no one got positive, no COVID positive out of it. So more than likely, that's going to be one of the requirements if we decide to move forward with the Carnival 2022, that in order for you to come to the village, you have to be vaccinated. Now, I know that's the big question. Okay, how are we going to do that? And more than likely, it will have to come to where that, okay, we will have to put the village in a area where that we could control the crowd, meaning that we know who's coming in and who's leaving. You understand what I'm saying? Havenside maybe could be a destination. Crown Bay might be another destination, or who knows? Like the Robert Stadium, I know that a lot of times they try to avoid having events up there due to the damaging of the grounds and so forth. But just know that if we planning to travel to the Virgin Islands to FET, you have to be vaccinated. It's simple as that. That's how the life goes. People gotta understand life change. It's the same thing if you have a job and your customer doing something, and they just all of a sudden just jump out and say, hey, we're moving another direction. This is what we're going to do now. It's going to upset a lot of people because our customer doing something a certain way. And if people don't like to adjust. And that's just how reality is. If we want to FET, if we want to celebrate our tradition, which is the 70th, 70th, the numbers, 75th, 80, people comes home, people travel home to FET on those occasions. Understand, you will have to be, just like how you have to be vaccinated to come to the U.S. Virgin Islands, you will have to be vaccinated to go into these events. Just saying. And I'm not a public relation officer for the tourism department, but I'm just listening to Commissioner Boschulte very carefully. You will have to be vaccinated in order to FET. Simple as that.
Well, I think Russ, one of the things that we're trying to do is make sure people are responsible in what we do and how we do it, right? And I am very familiar with a lot of the activities happening. Matter of fact, we were in Miami, for an in-market event a couple of weeks ago, and I was sitting down with two ladies from the Caribbean, from Jamaica, and they were telling me about all these events happening for Miami Carnival. A list of events. I mean, like even more than before the pandemic, how many activities are happening all weekend down there. And one of the things that was happening is a conversation we're having right now. The Delta was starting to come. As we all know, Florida is the hottest state.
They don't wear masks down
in the US, right?
They don't wear masks down there.
And there's some concerns now about how people coming in and how people are going to really want to party and feel comfortable doing it. So there were some conversations happening with our festival team and our department, and how do you do these types of FETs, big events, and make sure that people can do it safely. And of course, there are two, and again, we do ours based upon what science tells us. So there are two ways you could protect. Clearly, one is to be vaccinated, and the second one is you test everybody at the gate that night. You come in, if you're not vaccinated, you take a negative COVID test at the door. And of course, I mean, everything right now is to manage risk. But this is speaking from an economic/public health standpoint. Now, I'm not the promoter for these events in Miami, but our festivals department for the government-sanctioned festival and carnival events, we are the promoter. So we then set up, and that's why we set the lead. We have taken the lead in the Caribbean for FETing. Now you're seeing other islands do the same thing we've been doing. They said, hey man, you come to do the FET, you gotta be vaccinated. And it takes a level of courage to do it, because we know for many that's not the popular decision. But what we're trying to tell people is we want, at the end of whatever the event is, whether it's a food fair, whether it's a lime in the night, whether it's an afternoon on the beach, that you could get to go home, and 2 weeks from that event, you are not sick. So it's all about choices, and it's all about being respectful in having people's personal feelings interact with the overall public health. But we want the festivals and carnivals to come back. Since tourism took over the festivals for the USVI, we only had one full one, and that was the Crucian Festival, 1920. That was great.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit in March of 20, so we're still moving through. So I think in closing, stay in touch with the USVI Department of Tourism and our Division of Festivals. We're gonna keep everybody informed, let people know. We have been making the necessary connections with entertainment, both locally and internationally, to come in and perform in St. Croix and St. Thomas. So there is an understanding now of what has to happen. What I also can tell you that we've seen through our relationships is many of the artists that were not vaccinated 6 months ago are now vaccinated, touring all over the US.
Yeah, because they're losing money. They're smart.
So there's a natural evolution happening around in the business itself too.
Right, most definitely. I want to just kind of read one of the comments from Rico Cadero. He posted a question. He said that, he basically was saying that the Southwest Airlines fly over the US, Canada, Mexico, and certain Caribbean islands, but they do not fly in the USVI. How can we entice them to fly there? That's Southwest Airlines.
Yeah, good question, Rico. How you doing? We are having conversations with Southwest. We actually had a conversation with them in June, late June. We expect to have some follow-up conversations. We've been talking to them over the last couple of years, and what we're trying to do now is align their schedule with our schedules in the VI. one of the things that's happening now with us, particularly in the St. Thomas Airport, is everybody wants to come in at the same time, right? Between 12 and 4. And if you've been to St. Thomas during the pandemic, it's the first time I can remember in my lifetime where you saw 6, 7, 8 jets line up waiting to take off from the Sierra Leone Airport. That's how busy it was when we had almost 30 flights a day for long periods of time. It's just to find the right slots. And of course, with St. Croix, not the same congestion issues from a macro level, but the same congestion issues in terms of how many people could actually fit in the departure lounge at any one time. So we're managing the operational issues. The good thing I could tell you with Southwest is we are on their radar and they are on ours. So hopefully, we're moving in the right direction.
So basically, is a lot of things that is a lot of things into place where when we're trying to get an airline industry coming to do business in the Virgin Islands, the slots, like they want to know they have a slot time frame and they have to meet that slot. I never thought about that. I just figured that it was all about numbers and money. But now that you say time slot, that you have to take that into consideration. So that's very interesting. So that's a lot of negotiation right there, Joe. So that's
you have to take in the time slot. You got to remember, 90% of our travelers right now are leisure guests, right? So they're coming in and they want value. So they don't want to land in St. Thomas at 10 o'clock. They lose a whole day, but they're still paying that night in the hotel or the Airbnb. So that's why they want to come in when it's still sunlight out there. They could maybe make it to the beach or pool or do something. So there's always a value in that piece. And then they always prefer to leave later in the day. So that same day as a vacation, and not us local people, because we like to leave in the morning, come back late if we can. But they choose, it's better for them to leave later in the day so they could enjoy that same morning in St. Thomas, St. John, or St. Croix, and then fly back to the mainland. So that's how the flights move, and that's how we try to, so like, for example, when we were structuring those flights with Dallas, most people don't know that the flight, generally a flight that comes in, so a flight that leaves Atlanta, you go back in that same jet. So you come in, disembark, the new people come on and go back in that same jet. But the flight to Dallas, we needed to have that flight get to Dallas earlier. So the flight that actually, the jet that leaves to go to Dallas is not the same one that they fly in on. It comes in from a different airport, but it's the same aircraft type. And those are some of the intricacies that happen in the business that most people don't really even know about. But those are the things that we deal with every day to make sure that people fly in safely and maximize the airports.
Most definitely. We just talked about tonight about some of the main categories in tourism, especially in the U.S. Virgin Islands. We talk about port, hotels, Airbnb, cruise ships, hotels, airport industry. But tourism plays a lot as far as in the local economy as well. So I want people to understand that, listen, when you hear tourism is the main industry in the U.S. Virgin Islands. It's been like that from ever since I've known myself. I was taught that in school, in public school. Our main industry is tourism. So, Commissioner Joe, you have a big task, a big job. This is something that plays big in the U.S. Virgin Islands, tourism. Tourism, we haven't even talk about a lot of stuff, and it's getting late, but I hope that we could always get Joe back on the show again. We haven't talked about the sports academy industry, bringing sports to the U.S. Virgin Islands. That's another topic that I'd like to talk about. But I know it's 9:25 is always, this is just the first time and the beginning where we could have a good relationship with the Department of Tourism, the U.S. Virgin Islands. Joe, you're welcome anytime back on the JMO Talk Show. It's an honor to have you on the show tonight. Definitely, we're going to check a schedule again and do this again because, after hurricane season, we know we have to talk about that. That's when things start to gear up, so we definitely going to talk about that as well. And also, I think is the Paradise Jam coming back to the Virgin Islands. That's another thing that we'd like to talk about. So we have time. We could plan another show to have Commissioner Joe Boschulte back on the show. But before you go, Joe, is there anything you want to let the listeners know or anything you want to share your social media info, anything you would like to share with the listeners right now?
Yeah, just a couple of things. First, I want to begin, Russ, thank you, the JMO Talk Show. Appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate what you do to keep our people connected and people in the region connected with what's happening. Secondly, I invite everybody that's considering traveling to the territory, please go on USVI update, take a look, make sure, because it is a fluid situation. So stay in touch, make sure you know not only what's happening on the island, St. Thomas, St. Croix, St. John, but check with your airlines. Make sure that you know what's happening with the airlines and what is required to come into the territory. We have heard stories of people having issues at certain airports. Do your homework before you travel. Thirdly, I want to give, I know you did a moment of silence in the beginning of the show, but we lost a teammate this week in Tafa Romain. Tafa did a lot of work with tourism over the years. Young brother, unfortunately, he passed. Meant a lot to what we did in tourism, meant a lot to me in my successes in tourism with the work he's done. He's been the man behind the camera and the editor for a lot of our commercials. A local brother does it. So we want to give a shout out to him, condolences to he and his family and close friends and everyone that know Tafa. And then lastly, I want to, on behalf of Governor Bryan, Lieutenant Governor Roach, invite all our VI people home. It doesn't have to be the big festival. Just come back home. I tell people culture does not live and exist on its own. It's carried from generation to generation to generation. So it's good. It was refreshing to hear, Rush, you've been home with your family. I know Rico was down there not too long ago, and other the names that I heard on Facebook Live. Come back home, if only for a week or 10 days or 5 days, but bring your family back. One of the things I learned in this job, since I've taken it over for 2.5 years, when I travel around and we do ambassador events, and we will be back out there doing ambassador events as soon as safely possible. But when I talk to people of my generation and I listen to them to say their kids only been home once or twice, I'm like, oh man, we got to fix that. So come back home. So yes, our job is to promote the territory to people all across the world, but we also promote the territory to our own. Come back home, enjoy it. You could come back home as a tourist and all. You could stay in Margaritaville and move around, but you're gonna end up in lakes too. But come back home. Come back home.
Yes, most definitely.
And again, I just want to close one last time, Russ, by thanking you for the opportunity, and definitely I'll be back. I'd love to have you down there. Hopefully in Carnivals, the 7th day, you'll be down there Friday night doing the show from the village.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely. Most definitely. That's one of the thing on my bucket list to actually host one of the nights in the Carnival Village. That's one of my bucket lists. That would be awesome, man. That would be great. But definitely, that's something that we could talk about in the near future. Hopefully, we could get this thing under control, man. I really looking forward to coming back home. I mean, Carnival in the U.S. Virgin Islands is something. Is like, oh man, it's like that's saying Carnival. That's give me chills right now. I'm being real. I mean, because so much thing that I'm thinking about. Juve, the food, food fair. Just seeing people in the village, the music. You know what I'm saying? That's everything. The cultural drinks, etc. I just love it, man. Hopefully we could get back to normalcy, some kind of normalcy. But hopefully it's up to the people of the Virgin Islands and also our visitors to do what they're supposed to do. Get COVID tested, make sure it's a negative test, or get vaccinated, either or. Most definitely. Joe, thank you, man. It's always a pleasure, man. We share a lot of information tonight. Hopefully people was listening. I want to give a big shout out to a good friend of mine, your classmate, Ms. Lowen Sua. Great friend of mine. Shout out to her as well. Wanted to give her a shout out. Definitely making this connection possible. Thank you, man. So Joe, it's a pleasure, man. You're looking good, man. I before we get the show, I said, Joe, man, I looking older than you. I get more gray than you.
Nah, I got it.
You doing a good job, dang yours, man. You gotta embrace the gray.
Nah, just try to keep it cut low.
Cut low. But good to see you, man. Looking good,
Okay,
man.
Thank you.
No, most definitely, and definitely we'll do this again very soon. Appreciate you, man.
Okay, man.
Take
Thank
care.
you, man.
Have a good weekend. All the best. Take a good one, a cruise and rum, and a house for me.
Okay, man, for sure. VI people stay safe and strong till we meet again. Have a good one.
Yeah, for sure.
Man. Okay,
Take care.
okay, bro. Okay, bye-bye.
All right. And that was the Department of Tourism, USVI Department of Tourism Commissioner Joseph Boschulte, my virtual guest tonight. Awesome show. Great information, man. Again, if you want to know more about the tourism industry in the U.S. Virgin Islands, go to the Department of Tourism. They have a website on Facebook. Their website, forgot to get a website, but they're on Facebook as well. Just type in, search USVI Department of Tourism. It should pull up and you should see all the information on there as well. They're on YouTube. You can check them out on YouTube as well, as far as all the information, as far as the do's and don'ts. What do you need to know about traveling to the USVI? Again, thank you all for tuning in. Shout out to everybody on Facebook Live. I see y'all, man. Who else I missed? Who else I missed? Hey, Shana, Lexum White, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. Lita Dennis, thank you for tuning in. Keith Carwood, thank you for tuning in. Sherry Abia, George Donald, thank you for tuning in. Miss Donna Harrigan, thank you for tuning in. Marva Brown, thank you for tuning in. Robbie from Caribbean Savory, big shout out to Robbie, doing big things here in Atlanta. Caribbean Savory Restaurant, thank you for tuning in. Shakima George, thank you for tuning in as well. Rico, appreciate you. Thank you for that question. Really appreciate you. Julius, thank you for tuning in. Pui, Sean Scottliff, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate y'all, man. Again, check out my YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed, go to my YouTube channel now. For the YouTube, search hashtag JMO Talk Show. Subscribe, and you're gonna see all my shows from last year, June, July, up to now. All right, this show should be on in a few days, so check it out, man. Great show. I want to thank again Mr. Joseph Boschulte, Commissioner of Department of Tourism of the U.S. Virgin Islands, for coming on the JMO Talk Show tonight. Appreciate y'all, man. Next week, don't forget, next week is Situationship Part 6. Yours truly, Ross Sills, and alongside the hostess with the mostest, Miss Elise Rose, gonna be joining me. We're doing our segment next week, Friday. Then the following Friday, we have Mr. John Greenaway of Island Flavors Restaurant. He have a big announcement coming for the Virgin Islands. So he's gonna be on the show. That's Labor Day Friday. All right, so look out for some great shows, some great interviews, some great guests on the JMO Talk Show. We appreciate y'all. Don't forget, on September, if you're in Atlanta, Georgia, September 18th, Saturday, September 18th, go ahead and get your tickets now for the Yemen Radio All White event. We have a great show in store for y'all, man. We have performing live Star Martin, Chemist, we have King Lion, we have Boogaloo, and we have the J Unit Band out of Houston, Texas. Get your tickets now, man. We have a great show. We're gonna have some awards given out before presentation, before the whole shebang. So make sure y'all in the place to be. It's Saturday, September 18th here in Atlanta, Georgia. Go to Eventbrite.com. Get your tickets, cop your tickets now. It's gonna be a great event. Yemen Radio celebrating their annual Yemen Radio event, All White event, customer appreciation party, man. All right, that's it for tonight, man. Thank you all again. Yeah, we here. You know, we definitely gonna be doing big things here for the JMO Talk Show, man. Again, the Department of Tourism, USVI, great show, great time with Commissioner Boschulte, man. Make sure y'all support the thing. Shout out to y'all on Facebook Live. Thank y'all, and we out. Peace and hair grease, one love. There we go.
It's a paradise that lies in the where the warmth of the people greets you at every turn. Through their passion, you're going to live moments you will a special slice of paradise that lies in the Caribbean, where the warmth of the people greets you at every turn. Through their passion, you're going to live moments you will always remember. Savor our traditional flavors and explore the depths of the bluest ocean. Here, it's all about culture, history, and heart. If you want to feel the soul of the Caribbean, come to St. Croix and experience a vibe like no other.
Peace, y'all. Take care. Have a great weekend. Be safe out there. One love.